So for the past month and a half, things have been a little rough. And a couple of weeks ago, a buddy of mine and I decided to go on a week-long overlanding trip just to get away from everything. Now, I didn't film the trip, and we will get to that later on in the video. But before we get too far into this video, I wanted to address a question that I've constantly been asked on Instagram. And that is, how do I like my Toyota Tacoma? Well, about that. That Tacoma, it's not mine. It's my buddy Nico's. I just happened to shoot the living crap out of the thing because it's pretty. I actually own a 2020 Subaru Forester. Nico is the one who actually got me into overlanding, but by the time he and I met, we had already bought the Subaru. The Subaru was a great and capable vehicle, and on this trip, I wanted to push its capabilities and see how well it would do on the trail. But in this video, what we're going to be talking about is how I set up the back of the Subaru so that I could camp in it for an entire week as cheap as possible, and all the issues that I had along the way getting ready for this trip. There was quite a few. So you might have caught in a couple of my other videos that I actually work in the VFX and animation industry. And if you know anything about the actors and writer strikes, you know that it massively affected thousands of artists, myself included. Now, when we first started planning this trip, I had a contract and I was working, it was going to be fine, everything, the outlook looked good. But then as of April, my contract was over, no extension, no more work. So hence the need, me having to try to set this up as cheap as I possibly could. Yeah, so this is a bit of a cluster of a mess. I didn't have a whole lot of organizational stuff back here. This was the first trip. I kind of needed to know what I needed, what I didn't need. So I just kind of jammed everything in the back here. So please don't judge me. I plan on getting more organized as time goes on, and this will look a whole lot nicer, I promise. In terms of storage organization, the only thing that I actually had is a packing cube for Oregonian camper that they sent to me months ago. Thank you for that, by the way. I kept everything from my kitchen, my coffee, a couple of knickknacks and stuff like that, like privacy shields and bug nets and stuff like that, for the Subaru in this. It was just really kind of nice to keep everything from like sliding around and being too much of a mess. The only thing that I wish that this packing cube would have had would be like dividers so that it would make things easier to find instead of me having to dig through everything, but it did its job, so I can't complain. Now, if you're going on any camping trip, highly suggest you bring your own water. This is a 5-gallon jug from Reliance. Now, I got this actually from Canadian Tire. It's about 25 Canadian dollars. I'm sure you can also find this on Amazon if you are not near a Canadian Tire. I will leave links to everything down below, so if you wanted to go and check those out for yourself. I use this to fill up my Hydro Flask bottle multiple times a day, brush my teeth, make my coffee, wash my hands, and I still have water left in this. So this was a really good investment, and highly suggest you get one of these if you're planning on doing some overlanding, especially for a week. Okay, so for privacy, I went to Canadian Tire and got these sun reflectors. Super cheap, about 22 to 24 bucks. It came in a pack of 6 for each one of my windows. Every one of them comes with a little suction cup that you can put on either side, stick it to the window. The only problem is that it does not cover the windows completely, but any bit of privacy that you can get is well worth it. Now, they do make covers that are specifically designed for the Subaru Forester that completely cover the windows. I just personally did not want to spend the money at that time to buy those because they're a little bit more on the expensive side, but these worked really well, and it just fits right into this pouch, and it's super compactable, and I can just either keep this in my car full time, or I can just kind of keep it in my little storage box, and it doesn't take up a lot of room, which is key. In the Subaru, we have these tiny little windows. Now, my little reflectors would not cover this area, so I actually had to make something specifically for this. So what I had to do was go and get a roll of Reflectix, which basically all it is insulated bubble wrap. It's pretty cheap. You can get it from Home Depot. I just kind of traced out the window. Then I kind of just slid it into this window and kind of loosely put it here. The only problem with this thing is that it falls. I would just kind of finagle it into the window just to kind of get it to stay there and then fall asleep. It worked out pretty well. I got this idea from a friend of mine. Very grateful to her about her telling me that, but I have heard that you could use this in your car to actually give a little bit more insulation. So if you really wanted to like make your car hot, you could probably cut out pieces for all of your windows and kind of keep the heat in, but I really didn't need that. Okay, so no one likes mosquitoes. Everybody does not want bugs inside of their car, especially when they're sleeping, because that sucks. I ordered these rear side car window shades, which is basically just a mesh fabric that kind of goes over my window from Yaya Love Home. I got it on Amazon, so really cheap. Like I said, mesh fabric. I put it over the window shade that I had already put onto my window, and it helped to block out more light and gave me a little bit more privacy. Also, if you're getting too hot in your car and you want some airflow, you can crack your window just a little bit and nothing is going to come through this. I got a little bit too cold. It was a lot colder than we anticipated while we were up in the mountains. So I ended up sleeping when the window's up most of the trip, but the night that I did sleep with it, no bugs got in the car. It was great. No one could see in. Definitely a good investment. Now, in regards to sleeping in the back of the Subaru, I ordered myself a mattress from Deep Sleep. Completely changed the game for me. This is a self-inflating foam mattress. All you have to do is just kind of pull this tab here, kind of opens up the airflow, and it self-inflates. It literally made sleeping out in the outdoors, especially in the car, so much more enjoyable. They make this for Subarus, they make it for 4Runners or any kind of other SUV. So go and check out Deep Sleep. This isn't sponsored. I'm just really happy with my purchase. The problem with it had nothing to do with actually from the company itself. It came from me actually getting it. I had to delay the trip a day trying to get this. I'll just let past me explain it. It's so much easier that way. I'm really annoyed right now. So today is the day that we're supposed to be leaving to go on our trip. And my mattress that I ordered over a month ago finally made it into Vancouver. Now, I called FedEx on Friday and told them to leave it at the depot. Well, guess what? They put it onto the truck. Now, it could be here between 5 p.m. and 8 p.m. It is 10:30 in the morning. I was going to go to the depot when it opened at 8 and pick it up. Maybe anywhere between 8:30 and 9 o'clock I was going to pick it up. I was planning on being on the road. When I called and I asked whether or not, if it was actually there, if it hadn't been scanned or, whatever, they said, it's on the truck, it's out for delivery. And I'm like, I don't understand this, because you put it into your system, you have a service that you would leave it at the depot and I would pick it up. Well, the lady called and told the driver to take it back, which would not show back up until either this evening or Tuesday morning. So I just had to get on the phone with the manager at the depot, and now they're going to have to call the guy, tell him to deliver it. They're trying to get it to me as early as they possibly can. Who the hell knows when this thing is going to show up? I am so ready to be on the road. We've already pushed this trip off by one day because of this mattress. Of course, it's going to be the last hurdle that I have to get over before we get on the road. Now, setting up my mattress, I originally started the trip off with sleeping in my 0-degree sleeping bag. Now, this is synthetic, it's not down, so it does get to be very, very warm. The only problem is that you get really sweaty and you get really sticky, and I absolutely hate that feeling. I feel gross and nasty. I just wanted to be able to feel like I do when I get out of bed, you feel fine. What I decided to do, and this was, I just made it so much more comfortable, is that I took this red fleece blanket that actually is my dog Boba's, laid it down as kind of a base, and then I laid on top of that. Then I ordered this wool blanket from Artruus. I'm sure I'm butchering the crap out of that name, but it is a Washington State company. It's made in India, and it is wool, it is heavy, and it is warm. Love it. And it's orange. If you guys watched my camera bag video, you know I'm a bit obsessed with the orange color, so it has started. Then on top of that, I used the sleeping bag. So it was just a little bit of added warmth. I kind of tucked my feet in there just to kind of keep my feet warm, and I wasn't sticky, which was great. I just don't like waking up being sticky. So this was kind of what I did to set up. Now I do plan on possibly getting rid of the sleeping bag and maybe getting a different kind of goose down blanket in the future, but I'm still doing some research into that. So with sleeping in here, the one thing that kind of sucks is that there really is not any support for this. So if my head's sitting here, I'm just going to kind of fall down into the floorboard, which kind of sucks. I have this Coleman cooler that I've had forever and a day that I kind of kept here. And what I did have that I never actually used was a fold-out table. Now I never used it. We're lucky to find campsites that actually had tables and stuff, and I won't really pull it out. If you're interested to see kind of what my setup was, I'll do a video on all the gear that I have. I just kind of slid this underneath this, and it kind of gave it a little bit more structure so I just didn't fall down. And it kind of sits right there where the headrest is. Kind of sits right on top. It was good. Now, of course, no bed is complete without a pillow. I got this from Max. This is the deluxe pillow. It's just basically a blow up pillow. I use it for hiking all the time if I'm gonna do a overnight hike. Honestly, this was going to be my backup pillow because I was going to bring my regular pillow and completely forgot all about it. So I'm glad I had this in the car because otherwise I wouldn't have anything to have slept on. But for a whole week, pretty comfortable. Can't really complain. It was a really good investment. I've used the crap out of this thing, and then it compacts down really quick, doesn't take up a lot of room. Was quite nice. And just pack it up and put it into my little storage cube. Okay, so when you're in here, you need some light, right? So I have this old Energizer lamp that I had, and it has a little hook on it that I can kind of hang on to this handle. I call them oh shit handles, but whatever they're actually called. So it kind of hangs right here. It was really awesome because it has 3 different modes. So it has really bright, kind of bright, and kind of this like amber color. It produces quite a lot of light, especially when all the lights are blacked out in here. It is a little bit large, but I was really happy that I brought it. Now, one thing that almost completely derailed this trip, which just royally sucked, was the fact that this tire right here, the original tire got a hole in the sidewall. When I took it to go and get looked at, Canadian Tire said I had to replace all 4 tires due to my drivetrain. And instead of replacing the tires with the original tires that came with the vehicle, I decided to just rip the Band-Aid off, and I bought some Wild Peak AT trails, which was probably the best thing that could have happened, because some of the stuff that we went over and the trails that we went on, my old tires, yeah, no, they wouldn't have handled it. These Wild Peak AT trails handled like a dream, and I'm so glad that I have them. However, I really wasn't planning on spending the money on buying new tires. I mean, I was going to get new tires, but I wasn't planning on doing it right then and there. That sucked. That really sucked. And that was a week before we were supposed to leave. So I was pretty worried. That was kind of a big hurdle that I really did not want to have to deal with at all. So I hate to end the video on a sour note, but you might have noticed that I did not mention anything for my dog Boba. If you've watched any of my other vlogs or anything like that, you have seen his furry butt in all of my videos. But 2 weeks after I lost my job, we found out that Boba had a very aggressive cancer. And he was given 2 days to 2 weeks to live, with the caveat that he could go with any hour. It was in his heart and it was in his spleen, and if it ruptured, he could have passed at any moment. We were very lucky to have gotten 4 wonderful days with him. But I was really excited to be able to share this adventure with him, and he passed 2 weeks before this trip. So I brought his red blanket that he has had since he was a puppy, one of his favorite toys, and a lock of his hair, so that he could be here in spirit. So that was the reason why I did not want to film this trip, because I did not I did not want to be reminded of an adventure without him, especially so close to his death. I will film other videos and other adventures, but it will just not be the same. Anyway, sorry for ending this video on a sour note, but if you got anything out of this video, if you got any ideas out of this video, I hope you did. Like, subscribe, do all that fun stuff. I will be updating the Subaru kit as time goes on, so keep an eye out for those videos. And yeah, I'll see y'all in the next one.